Hello, Pisces. My name is Lynn Walden, and I am doing a spread for you for the week of December 9th, although I'm a bit late because I've had a bit of a bug. Okay, my lovely Pisces. It's interesting. As I was getting ready to do this and as I was asking for guidance, I started getting, excuse me, I kept thinking pesky Pisces. And I love Pisces. But it was humorous. It was like pesky Pisces. And then all of a sudden I saw Hermione from Harry Potter. And I thought, yeah, witchy Pisces. Because you're so deep and you have such powerful minds. And so creative in your own ways. Like really the creativity of a Pisces knows no bounds. And as I was continuing to pull the cards, I'm going to read you the cards that I pulled. And then I'm going to interpret them according to what I've asked for, which is information for the greatest number of people who are going to read this. So you will possibly interpret these very differently than I would, and they won't read the same for you because you won't have the full content. But the titles of the cards are Mind, Pain, Fear, Surrender or Giving Up. Humor, Do It Big. Do I want to? Ideal Childhood, Boundaries or Barriers, and Discipline. So I'm going to put them together for you. When I saw these come out, I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on for some of the Pisces collective that is causing them pain that is based in fear? And is it based on a choice that they have to make or that they're in the process of looking at? Then I go to the surrender, giving up. I'm sorry, I paused because I just heard a whole bunch of sirens here, and I live in a town of 450 people. So if there's that many sirens, something's going on somewhere. Okay, it's out of town. God bless. Okay, surrender or giving up. So that card I think is very interesting because giving up is like, that's it, I'm done. Poof. It's a complete rejection of a situation. Whereas surrendering is it's more of a letting it be. The surrender is acknowledging that the situation is what it is and you will do what you need to do with it. But for now, this is just what it is. You're not rejecting it. You're not going into resistance against it. You're not saying, oh yeah, that's fine. It's crap. And I'm okay with that. You're just saying, this is what it is for now. I'm choosing to step back, but I'm not going to fight the fact that this is the reality. But the fact that you get pain and fear here makes me say, what is it you're afraid of in terms of letting things be the way they are, or in terms of giving something up? What is it that you're being asked to look at to say, do I really want this? And if you really don't, if this thing is causing you pain and possibly fear, but if it's causing you pain, what is it that's allowing you to stay in it? What fears are around letting it go? And where I go to with that is, what are the patterns from your youth, from your childhood, from your young adult life, possibly around boundaries and barriers that are getting in the way of you being able to create something different or experience this differently? So I'm just noticing now, boundaries or barriers, it goes very, very closely with surrender or giving up, because I look at boundaries as soft negotiable things that you put in place that can be negotiated, right? So this is the line, and I'm going to stand my ground because that is my boundary. But if you want to negotiate getting in closer or having that boundary changed in some way, we can talk about it. That's kind of like the letting things be as they are. Whereas a barrier is like putting up a wall, and that's like, no, never, which sometimes is absolutely appropriate. But very often in childhood, we have not really been taught boundaries. I mean, how many, I'm talking about women, but it's also true for boys. How many times have we been taught that we have to put up with what is going on, even if somebody is making us uncomfortable, because it's socially acceptable to rub our hair or tickle us or whatever that we're really uncomfortable with, and we don't know how. We're not taught to say no thank you or step back or ask somebody to help enforce those boundaries for us. Often what I found, what I see, it's interesting. I had this conversation with somebody recently, and that is that often when we're not taught how to set boundaries in relationships, in any relationships, when we're children, we often end up staying in friendships and romantic relationships a lot longer than we really should, because we haven't learned how to do it. There is a sense of almost, what was it she said? It's as though we hang in that little bit longer, because what if just around the corner it's going to get better? And if we give up now, it's us not trusting and not giving up. I mean, giving up too soon. Excuse me. Excuse me. So I look at that and I think that's a really, really valid thing. I think, and what I've seen with a lot of people, is that's often why they will stay in relationships longer. I know I've done it. Because you feel like, well, they said they understood. Then why are they still doing it? Well, they must not have understood. I'll tell them again, because obviously I didn't use the right language. And we can get into these things where somehow we make it about us, and as opposed to them not honoring the boundary that's being set. And then usually what happens is it comes to a point where a wall has to come down, because you have not enforced the boundary so many times that they don't expect they have to honor it. Like, so he'll say it again and they'll continue being who they are. So seeing as how I'm going down that track, which I hadn't planned on when I started this reading, this is what I'm thinking there may be an issue about for some people. And then that, part of the reason is the boundary issue, but part of the reason often is our fear of letting go. Not just our fear of letting go because we might be letting somebody down, but our fear of letting go because what will it say about us as people? Where will we be? Especially if it's a relationship late in life, or if we don't have faith that there's somebody else there for us, even as a young person, because we don't want to cause pain. And sometimes because we don't want to cause pain, we stay in pain, because taking care of ourselves means potentially causing somebody else pain, if it means moving away from them. So Pisces, I don't know if that's where you're at with this, but that's what's coming up for me with this. So I would say to you, go along with the humor aspect of this. Because again, if this is coming up and it is about a relationship, of course, we always want you, if it's about leaving relationships, do it safely, do it intelligently. If money or physical safety is involved, absolutely, you get the right help before you make any moves, and you get the right guidance on it. And that being said, whatever the situation is, doesn't have to be around a romantic relationship. It can be around a friendship, which can also be dangerous. It can also be around a work situation. Anything where these issues might be coming up. Engage in humor for yourself. Stand back, look at it. Pisces, you can be very dramatic. As creative as you are, you can be very dramatic. But when you let your humor come through, my God, it lightens the room. And it changes things so dramatically. So just the change in your own energy is going to allow you to create space around whatever this is. And if you want to look back, you've got the ideal childhood card. Like, I feel like this is a time where you can look at areas from your past where you have not been taught how to set boundaries, healthy boundaries, and look at that and start engaging in some discovery around how to do that and what you might need to let go of or look at in order to do that. Okay? Because that's all energy that's in your system, and you can let go of that stuff. also changing your synapses and a whole bunch of other things. But the thing is, when you do it with a high energy, when you start being able to look at this and say, okay, this is no longer a drama. I'm going to lighten this up with an aspect of humor, which is kind and it's free-flowing. And humor often just allows you to see things that you wouldn't normally be able to see because it is lighthearted. In fact, I'm going to read that card to you. Humor in its highest form is kindly, not sarcastic. It has a generous quality, able to see absurdities, incongruities, and paradoxes with a light heart, ready to find mirth and fun in them. Because it's gentle, it helps us see the truth behind things that might otherwise create defensiveness. Look for the humor in all situations. Take a light attitude towards everything you see today, especially if it's contentious. Right? I wasn't always able to see the humor in some of my situations when I was in them. But had I been able to, I would have seen a ridiculous sitcom. I mean, it was ridiculous. Real emotions, real hurt, but it was pretty darn funny the way it all played out. Not in the end, I'm sure, when I had to put down a wall, but the absurdity of the behavior and the choices and the repetition of it, when you can look at it as though it is a sitcom, it takes it out of the drama and it creates an energy. And maybe you can't look at it like a sitcom, but you can get into the energy of humor. You can bring humor into your life in other ways. Laugh. Make that a really, really big point, is to laugh. Find other things that are funny if you can't find this funny, because really sometimes we can't. And bring that energy into your life, because that does change your energy. It does change your body chemistry, and it tends to expand your perception and bring in another part of your brain. So that would be my suggestion for you, my lovely Pisces. My pesky Pisces, my lovely witches, in a good way. Okay? If you like this, I would really greatly appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription. And I'll be back next week. Thanks very much.